Tribunal upholds Caleb Muftwang's election as Plateau State Governor. Over 24 university students abducted as bandits invade Zamfara community. On the foreign scene, massive teachers strike shut down Nepal schools. I am Jude Omamigbe. Let's get to the stories now. As the ultimatum by the NLC, Nigeria Labour Congress, to the federal government to address the suffering and pains occasioned by the removal of subsidy on petrol expires today, the leadership of the Congress will meet next week to decide when to begin an indefinite nationwide strike. Recall that the federal government on Wednesday said it had no fears about a potential economic shutdown. This is despite last Monday's meeting being deadlocked as both the federal government and the NLC parties failed to resolve the issues over removal of petrol subsidy. Head of Information NLC Benton Upa told the Nation newspaper that only the National Executive Council of the NLC can decide the next move. In the meantime, the federal government may reportedly spend about 1 trillion naira on petrol subsidy from September to December this year. This is according to an analysis data provided by oil marketers. They said the pump price of petrol should be between 890 and 900 naira per litre based on the fall of a naira against the dollar and the surge in the price of crude in the international market. Speaking on this, IPMAN's Joseph Abele says following the consistent increment in the price of crude oil and rise in the rate of foreign exchange, it is now obvious that the federal government has tactically intervened by closing the price gap in the landing cost of petrol and selling pump price in Nigeria.
PMS importers have lamented few weeks ago that the landing cost was above 700 naira per litre when crude oil was selling for $80 per barrel then. As we speak, crude oil is above $90 per barrel, yet Nigerians are still buying PMS at the rate of 600 naira or 610, 620 per litre at filling stations. Meanwhile, we are aware that the current NNPC Limited is not a charitable organization.
He, however, said the Nigerian economy will experience stability only when the country starts producing petrol in Nigeria.
Nigeria is the only shameless OPEC member nation that has dumped its own refinery and busy importing from the foreign refinery owned by another nation. Mr. President has announced that the Port Harcourt refinery will commence operation by December 2023, and we are hopeful because the speed up of the operation or the project of recent is actually encouraging. I think they have doubled the workforce and more machines have been sent to site.
The government and the NNPCL have not officially admitted that subsidy for petrol has been reintroduced. Moving on, despite criticisms, the physical interview and documentation for employment into the Rivers State Civil Service continued on the premises of the Rivers State Civil Service Commission yesterday. Our correspondent reports that 2 police vans were stationed at the commission's premises. Only candidates who showed text message evidence are allowed access based on the post they submitted. It was gathered that from the 10,000 quota, some employment has been made into the Judiciary Service Commission, River State Senior Secondary Schools Board, the Universal Basic Education Board. An applicant who spoke anonymously to our correspondent said he suspects foul play following the decision of the commission to invite applicants randomly. He advised the commission to publish the details of applicants who passed its online examination exercise.
I have not received any text message. I started to just check since I saw people gathering here. What actually motivated me to call me out to check is because when the screening was ongoing, then I participated in it and I did very well. It was 10 questions, so I was able to answer the complete 10 questions. Even at that, too, I was able to carry some self-assessment on the score. If they want to do the right thing based on people that wrote well, I should be able to get the text message.
I recall that on Tuesday, the Rivers Indigenous NGOs and Civil Society Network called for a suspension of the recruitment exercise for a lack of transparency. Speaking at a press conference, the chairman of the network, Tombari Dumkakote, issued a 24-hour ultimatum for the suspension of the recruitment exercise if the text message invitation approach for the physical interview is not addressed. In another development, the River State government has again been urged to look into the current state of basic social infrastructure in communities like schools and healthcare systems. The Secretary General of Omoko City Council of Traditional Rulers and Chiefs, Israel Okirie, spoke on connected developments Follow the Money show on Nigeria Info FM. He said that Omoko has a poor healthcare system and the General Hospital project initiated by the previous administration remains incomplete. He appealed to the current administration to revisit and complete the project.
For the healthcare, we do not have a standard healthcare system in Omok. Vis-a-vis Onelga. Omok General Hospital has been abandoned. The contractor has left site close to a year now. They've roofed it. Now equipping it is where the real job is. This thing is being delayed further. We will still have more health casualties in it because of the hydrocarbon hazard that is bedeviling our people. We don't have a system put in place by the government to see how they can desilt the drainages.
He also spoke about the state of schools in Omok.
The structures are really going bad. The roofs, it's gone bad. People stay school. Court Road will have a community primary school. Omoko Band, the one at Craft Center at Obohe Axis also. Lots of them. It's raining season now. Okay. Where will the people stay? The environment is not conducive. Take a second look at our educational facilities. The infrastructures are really fast decaying.
Elsewhere, more than 24 students of the Federal University of Gusau were reportedly abducted in the early hours of today after bandits invaded the Sabongida community of the Bungudu local government area of Zamfara State. A student of the school told Channels Television that over 24 schoolmates, mostly ladies, were abducted during the attack. A resident of Sabongida, Nazire Sabongida, also confirmed that the gunmen invaded the community around 3 a.m. and started shooting indiscriminately. The police in Zamfara State, however, yet to confirm the attack. Well, still to come, tribunal opposed Caleb Muftwang's election as Plateau State governor. Stay tuned.
Stay updated with all the current news.
Petitions Tribunal sitting in Jos has upheld the election of Governor Caleb Muftwang of the PDP. The three-member panel, in its judgment delivered today, unanimously held that the petitioner failed in its petition because it lacked merit. Justice Sunday Oladurmosi, while reading the judgment, dismissed all three grounds canvassed by the petitioner and the governorship candidates of the APC, Nentawe Leotauda. The new Nigerian People's Party has blamed the former presidential candidate of the party, Rabiu Kwankwaso, of being responsible for the loss of Kano State Governor Yusuf Abba at the State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal. The party insisted that Kwankwaso allegedly sold out NNPP to the ruling All Progressives Congress in order to negotiate for a ministerial slot in the President Bola Tinubu-led government. The Kano State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal had on Wednesday sacked Abba and declared the APC candidate Nasser Gawuna winner of the March 18 governorship poll. The PDP in River State has dismissed claims of anti-party activities alleged by the national leadership of the party. The state publicity secretary of the party, Sidney Gbara, in an interview with correspondent Emeka Otuka, accused the national leadership of the PDP of conniving with the APC in the state to withdraw PDP's lawsuit challenging the conduct of APC primaries in the state.
So if there are any person or group of persons to be accused of perpetrating anti-party activities, is those who are in the National Working Committee that we will accuse that they are the ones who have done what we call anti-party activities against their own people.
You will recall that the PDP in River State had dragged some political parties in in the state to court, seeking their disqualification from the last general election for perceived non-compliance with the regulations and laws of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) in the conduct of their various primaries. A day after President Bola Tinubu advised Nigerians abroad to return home, the U.S. government has warned its citizens to reconsider traveling to Nigeria due to increased risk of crime, terrorism, civil unrest, kidnapping, and armed gangs in the country. An updated travel advisory included a flat do not travel warning to Borno, Yobe, Kogi, and Adamawa states due to terrorism and kidnapping, Bauchi, Gombe, Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, Sokoto, and Zamfara states due to kidnapping. Abia, Anambra, Bayelsa, Delta, Enugu, Imo, and Rivers states were listed due to crime, kidnapping, and armed gangs.
And now the business news.
To business now, the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, and Moroccan authorities have decided to proceed with the 2023 annual meetings in Marrakesh, despite the recent earthquake in the North African country. The governor of Morocco's central bank, Abdelafif Jouari, told journalists that the huge debts owed to developing banks by African nations, financial inclusion, and climate change are some of the issues that will top the agenda of African countries during the meetings. In entertainment, the organizers of the African Movie Academy Awards (AMAA) have announced the nominees for the 19th edition of the Continental Awards ceremony. The 2023 awards will feature 26 categories, including that of Best Nigerian Film, where top movies like Gangs of Lagos, Brotherhood, Anikulapo, Mami Water, and others have been nominated. In sports, Germany today named Julian Nagelsmann as their new head coach to replace the sacked Hansel Flick. Just 9 months before hosting the European Championships, the German Football Association had announced the former Bayern Munich boss had signed a deal until the end of next July, allowing the 36-year-old to leave after Euro 2024. And finally, from the international scene, a massive teachers' strike in Nepal has entered its third day, disrupting classes for millions of students across all public schools. About 110,000 teachers are protesting an education reform bill in parliament. They are against proposals to give local governments oversight of schools and a ban on teachers joining groups with political affiliations. Students and parents are calling for an end to the unrest so that classes can resume. And that was the news this afternoon. But before we leave, let's get a recap of the stories. Fresh strike looms as the NLC ultimatum expires today. Possible reintroduction of petrol subsidy is stirring comments. The employment process by Rivers State Civil Service Commission has continued despite criticisms. Rivers PDP has reacted as a court stopped the party's national leadership from dissolving its state executive. The tribunal in Jos has upheld the election of Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutwang. Over 24 university students have been abducted as bandits invade Zamfara community. And on the foreign scene, a massive teachers' strike in Nepal has entered its third day, disrupting classes for millions of students across all public schools. The news was edited by Martha Okere and Kem. Sunny weather in Port Harcourt expected this afternoon with temperatures of about 26 to 27 degrees centigrade. Please be advised. To reach the newsroom, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. 0808 721 7215. Peace is a path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. My name is Jude Omamigbe. Thank you for listening and good afternoon.